In this video, we're going to look at naming simple alkanes and a process that you can use for naming almost any organic compound. It's the backbone process that you're going to start with, no matter what molecule you're trying to describe. The first step in naming a compound is to count the longest continuous carbon chain. So that means the carbons that are all connected. You can go straight, like you do here, or you can have a bend. So as long as these carbons are connected, they are a continuous carbon chain. So what we're going to see in this one, you have some options. So we could be numbering 1, 2, 3, 4, or the other option would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Either way, we have a 4-carbon longest continuous chain. So for this molecule that we're doing, we have a 4-carbon longest continuous chain. That means that our root for this compound will be based on the name bute. You're going to need to memorize this list. You will need to be able to count through it in your head. So meth, eth, prop, bute, pent, hex, hept, oct, non, and dec. So methane, propane, butane, these all were, that's where the name comes from. So in our example, we have a 4-carbon root, so we are going to use bute, and then you go back and you will be adding an ending. Now, we haven't talked about endings yet, but I will tell you, since this has only single bonds in it, we are going to recognize that all carbon single bonds will be what's called an alkane. So we will use an ANE ending. If we had a double bond, so this is all single bonds, if we had doubles, that would be alkene. And if we had a triple, I'm going to see if I can squeeze it in here, we would have an alkyne. So that gives you the ending for what goes on the root. So if it's all single bonds, you use an ANE ending. If it's a double bond anywhere in there, you use an ENE. If it's a triple bond, it is a YNE. So we've established that this is a butane because it's a 4-carbon chain. But now we need to number the chain. So while we decided earlier that you could number it left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4, there are also other ways of numbering it. You could also number it 1, 2, 3, 4 in the right to left version. Now, how do you pick? You want to have the lowest numbers possible. So if we go left to right, our lowest number with our branch, so let me give you a little bit more information there. You want to have the lowest numbered branches. Okay, so our branch could be on carbon 2, or it could be listed as carbon 3. So we are going to want to pick the direction of numbering that will give us the lowest number for our branch. So if we look at that, our 2 versus our 3, so our left to right numbering is the best choice. Now that we've established which way is the best way to number this chain and our left to right version, we are going to now name the branches. And here on carbon 2, we have a single carbon branch. And remember from that graphic earlier with the root names, our single carbon branch will be called a meth something. Now, this is when we're adding branches of carbons, we add a YL. So this is going to become a methyl. All right, it's a methyl butane, but we need to tell the reader what carbon number the methyl is on. So in this case, it is a 2-methyl butane. And because I was leaving room to make sure that I could write everything in, it looks like it's 2 words, but it is not. It is 2-methyl butane. And it would only be capitalized if it's the start of a sentence. So some other details to be aware of whenever you're doing naming like this. If you have multiple of the same group, you're going to use prefixes to tell how many of that item you have. So in this case, it would be trimethyl because we have 3 CH3 groups. If you have multiple groups, you're going to alphabetize them. For instance, if you had an ethyl and then you had a methyl, you would put them in line as the branches beforehand, before the chain, in correct order. And then you're going to use commas. So like our example up here would be 2, 2, 4 trimethyl. And then we'd have our branch, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our carbon chain is a 5, so this would be pentane. You use commas in between the numbers, and you use hyphens if you need to have multiple of if you need to use multiple different branches. So these are a couple of things to be aware of when you're naming. It uses the same scheme no matter what it is you're naming. You're going to start by counting the chain, deciding what direction you want the counting to go in, and then naming the branches and sorting it all out like that.